generous, you could give them a test, a multiple choice test, a short answer test, an essay, and that could be a great way to really test, do they know what they're talking about? Does this actually make sense to them? Have a quiz or a coach share a devotional. Now, quizzes, chapter 3. The cornerstone of every quiz practice is prayer. But every quiz practice also should incorporate some version of a quiz. And number 23 is your standard Bible quiz practice. And chances are, 90% of your quiz practices are number 23. It's a normal quiz. You're sitting there reading questions, the quizzers are buzzing in, they're answering the questions, they're going through the motions. There are a lot of other ways to do number 23, a normal quiz, and that can make the practice a little bit more interesting and engaging. So a few different ways to do this. If you have both a junior and a senior team, you can join them together, put a junior and a senior together on one side, and have them compete that way. And that could be a great way for a junior quizzer to connect with the next level of Bible quizzing. They look up to the senior quizzers. They want to be like them. And so if you let them be on the same team as a senior quizzer, that's the coolest thing in the world. And it could motivate them to remain in senior quizzing when they grow to that age. Coaches versus quizzers. We had a version of that here in Dublin that was a lot of fun. We spray painted this rock, and we got some Velcro. And one card says Quizzers Rock, and one card says Coaches Rock. And so once a month, the coaches would quiz the quizzers, and if they won, they got to have their sign on it for that month, and if we won, we got to have our sign on it that month. And it was a way for them to really study hard. And we had some really good junior quizzers, and it was some tight quizzes. And so that was a lot of fun. Something you can also do is to really ingrain a particular question type or a point value. You can only ask that type of question or that point value. For instance, if you want your quizzers to be better at quotation completions, and you only ask them one quotation completion that week, you didn't ingrain anything. But if you ask them 30 quotation completions in a row, I've seen tremendous improvement in their ability to interrupt on a consistent basis when they should on a quotation completion. And so by repeating the same thing, or if you know a quizzer is very good on 30-point questions, have them go to one part of the room with an adult and only answer 30-point questions. They are very different than a 20-point question. And if you know another quizzer, maybe they're brand new, and you're not expecting them to answer a lot of 30-point questions, have them be your 10-point ace and have them really focus in on 10-point questions. A money quiz. We talked about that a little bit. A penny a point. You know, often it ends up coming out to a couple dollars out of your pocket, but I cannot think of anything else in a quiz practice that motivates my quizzers that much. A penny a point, you might as well have said $1 million a point, because they will be very motivated to do their very best. I've seen quizzers who for a whole month never buzzed in. We did a money quiz and now they're answering every question. It's incredible. You could do the same thing with candy. A candy quiz is just like a money quiz. Money quiz is penny a point. Candy quiz is candy a point. You use M&Ms or Skittles, and you say, okay, you get 1 piece for a 10-pointer, you get 2 pieces for a 20-pointer, and you get 3 pieces for a 30-pointer, and if they interrupt, they get an extra piece. And that can be a great way as well. Anybody ever tried a blindfold quiz? Yeah? So, a blindfold quiz is the exact opposite as a distraction quiz. We'll get to the distraction quiz later. But when you're at a tournament, there are a lot of other things for the quizzers to look at other than the quizmaster. The door might be opening and closing at the back, someone might be coughing or sneezing, baby might be crying, phones going off, people are wrestling through their purse and opening up a candy wrapper, and there's all kinds of stuff trying to get their attention. And if you do a blindfold quiz, it's going to help your quizzers listen, learn to listen. And if you do a distraction quiz, it'll really give them focus like steel. Because what you do, it's the most fun a coach has all year long. A distraction quiz is when you recruit adults or kids from your church to come in and purposely try to distract your quizzers while you're doing a quiz. And the quizzers are not allowed to look at the other people, respond to the other people. All they can do is be still like a statue and look right at the quiz master, or else they get a foul. And so you'll have adults and they're bouncing a ball, or they're opening the door, or they're talking on the phone really loud, or they're trying to distract the quizzers in some way. And the quizzer's job is to try to ignore it all. You can also do a quiz with something unrelated to the quiz material. You could do a songbook quiz. You could do a general Bible knowledge quiz. That's good if your team is new, because you want your new quizzers to learn the format. The hardest part of quizzing for a new quizzer is how the format works. The fact that a quizmaster is going to say, question number 1 is worth 10 points question, according to John chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning was what? That might sound familiar to you, but for someone who has never done quizzing, that is a foreign way to ask a question. And so you could start with something else. Question 1 is worth 10 points question. Name one son of Adam and Eve. I can do that. You know, a quizzer might be able to do that. You could do a songbook version in quizzing form. So you could say question number 5 is worth 10 points question. Love. Name a song that contains this word. Does that sound anything like a quiz question? That's kind of how we do locations, isn't it? And so they could buzz in and they could reference the song. One thing that's very motivating to a lot of quizzers is getting a chance to be a quizmaster. And so one thing that we have done is allow quizzers to go home and write their own quizzes, and then they get to be the quizmaster for them. Writing questions is one of the best ways to enhance your interruption speed, because you know how a question writer thinks, and you know how to finish a question when you've written your own. And so you could give the quizzers that opportunity. Write your questions, you get to be the quizmaster for them. Squirt gun quiz. This is a really, really fun one. Do this outside. You read the quiz with a squirt gun in your hand, and the quizzers, instead of having a microphone on the table, each have a squirt gun on their table. If they buzz in and get it wrong, you squirt them. If they buzz in and get it right, they squirt you. And so that's a great one to try out in the summertime. Has anyone ever done Bible quizzing baseball or Bible quizzing football? This is a really fun one. All you need is a whiteboard or a chalkboard. You make out a makeshift baseball diamond or a football field, and then as they answer questions, a 10, 20, or 30, they move around accordingly on the field, and I've got all the descriptions there. And so that's a really neat one because they can connect it with maybe a sport that they like. So let's move on to quoting drills. A lot of the drills in this section can be turned into locating drills, so they really are interchangeable. But the first one is something that we have not done, but we got this idea from some individuals around the country. Other coaches have tried this, and it's a memorization workshop. Number 46. A lot of local churches, they will do a quizzing workshop or like a quizzing boot camp. It might be an overnight thing, like you sleep at the church, a lock-in style, and you do this workshop with 4 stations while you're there. And each station, a quizzer does a different way to memorize a verse. Really great, especially if someone's new, because what's the number one reason someone doesn't do Bible quizzing?
I don't think they can memorize it all.
I'm horrible at memorizing things. Have you ever said that about yourself? I said that about myself when I was 15 years old and just joining Bible quizzing. Oh, I'm really bad at memorizing. You know, memorization is a skill that you practice and learn and you enhance and grow and you find out what works for you. And so oftentimes, if someone really gives it their full effort, when they're done, quizzers come back to me and say, I never knew I could do that. And you have to find out what form of memorization works best for you. Our video on the SeniorBibleQuizzing.com website shows you a few different ways. But you'll see on this workshop, Station 1 is your standard, you have a partner, an adult, who does repeat after me style. In the beginning, in the beginning, in the beginning was, in the beginning was, in the beginning was the Word, in the beginning was the Word, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And they keep repeating what you're saying. That's what a lot of parents do for their young children, is it's repeat after me style. The next station is the verses to song. And Sister Laney just informed me during the break that there is someone who is also doing songs for senior quizzing, and they're posting them on YouTube, and the individual's name is
Grace Hoover.
Grace Hoover.